welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The morning was routine, the sunlight filtered through the blinds with a quiet promise of just another day. I sat at the kitchen table, nursing my coffee when the sound of the delivery truck braking sharply pierced the calm. It was an intrusion I would have ignored if not for the sharp knock that followed, a reminder that the world outside was waiting. "Package for Grace Hudson," the delivery guy announced, a small rectangular box in his hands, looking out of place against his oversized uniform. "Thanks," I said, taking the package. The man left with a nod, and I turned the box over in my hands. It was light, the return address a nondescript P.O. box. Grace hadn't mentioned expecting anything. Curiosity, that sly whisper, nudged at me. "Just a peek," it suggested. Grace was my wife, after all, what could be so secret? I slit the tape with a kitchen knife, the cardboard flaps giving way to reveal a garment wrapped in silk paper. It was a dress, beautiful and delicate. A chill ran down my spine, not from the unexpected chill in the air, but from the stark realization that this was no ordinary delivery. Folded neatly under the dress was a note, its cursive blue ink flowing like the tears I didn't know I was holding back. "For you, my love, waiting for you tonight at the Blue Lagoon." The words struck like a physical blow, the air thickened around me. The Blue Lagoon, a high-end restaurant known for its secluded booths and intimate lighting, a place for lovers, not spouses forgotten. My heart raced, betrayal coiling tight within it. Grace, my Grace, with her smile that could light up the darkest days, had secrets now veiled in silk and shadows. But I knew with a certainty that settled heavy in my bones, that I had to confront this. Yet, the sting of betrayal whispered another course, one of cold, calculated revenge. That evening, as Grace prepared for her night out with friends, her lies twisted between us, unseen but palpable. "I might be late tonight," she said, a hint of something like guilt fleeting across her face. Her perfume, sweet and traitorous, filled the space between us. "Take your time," I replied, the words ice cold and smooth. "Enjoy yourself." She hesitated, then kissed my cheek, the touch a betrayal in itself. As she left, the note burned in my pocket, its words fueling a dark resolve. The house felt empty, echoes of a love I thought we shared bouncing off the walls. But I was not idle, I packed, not belongings, but plans and schemes, each item a step towards the reckoning. At the Blue Lagoon, hidden by shadows, I watched them. Her laughter reached me across the room, a sound I once adored now twisted into deceit. The man, unaware of the silent watcher, smiled with a victor's grin. Tonight, Grace's world would crumble, crafted by her own deceptions. And as they left, wrapped in each other's lies, I prepared to enact the first part of my revenge. This was just the beginning. For in love and betrayal, there are no winners, only survivors and the ruins they leave behind. The cool night air was a sharp contrast to the simmering fury within me as I left the shadows of the Blue Lagoon. The image of Grace laughing, carefree and radiant in another man's company, seared my mind as I drove back home. The streets blurred, a backdrop to the chaos of betrayal and plotted revenge that filled my thoughts. Once home, I paced the silent, dimly lit rooms, each step a hammer to my resolve. It was nearing midnight when I heard the front door click open, a soft creak in the otherwise still night. Grace's steps were light, perhaps cautious, her silhouette framed against the faint hallway light. "David?" Her voice was soft, tinged with a weariness that seemed out of place for someone who had just come from a rendezvous filled with laughter. "In here," I called out, standing in the living room, the note clutched tightly in my hand. She paused at the threshold, her face a mask of confusion and concern. "Is everything all right?" she asked, her eyes scanning my rigid posture. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. I held up the note, and watched as her eyes widened, a flicker of fear, Or was it guilt, passing over her features? Where did you get that? Her voice was barely a whisper, her usual composure slipping. From your secret delivery today. For you, my love, waiting for you tonight at the Blue Lagoon. Really, Grace? Who is he? I demanded, the words sharp, each one etched with betrayal. Grace's face fell, her usual grace crumbling under the weight of exposed secrets. David, No, I cut her off, stepping closer. Don't lie to me, not anymore. I saw you two tonight, at the restaurant. How long has this been going on? It's not what you think, she pleaded, her voice breaking. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake. Please, let me explain. A mistake. I scoffed, my laugh hollow. You don't accidentally end up at romantic dinners with a note like that. Who is he, Grace? She hesitated, then a resigned sigh escaped her lips. His name is Mark. He's just someone I met a few months ago. It was nothing serious, I promise you. It was just. Just what? Exciting? Thrilling? I interrupted, the sarcasm biting. While I was here, believing in us, you were out there playing games. I'm sorry, David. I never wanted to hurt you, she said, tears starting to pool in her eyes. Sorry doesn't even begin to cover it, I retorted coldly. You've broken everything we had, Grace. She reached out, attempting to touch my arm, but I recoiled. What are you going to do? She asked, a tremor in her voice. I looked at her, the woman I thought I knew, now a stranger cloaked in deceit. I'm going to make sure you regret this. You won't just walk away from what we had without feeling the weight of your choices. Grace sobbed, her body shaking. Please, David, can we not just talk this through? Maybe see someone, a therapist. This goes beyond therapy, Grace, I said, my decision clear as the early morning light began to creep through the windows. You've made your choice, and now I'll make mine. As she stood there, a figure marred by her betrayal, I turned away, the first steps of my revenge plan already forming in my mind. This was just the beginning, and by the time I was done, Grace would understand the true cost of her infidelity. As the dawn light seeped through the curtains, casting long shadows across the room, I sat at the dining table, my mind racing with plans and possibilities. The sound of Grace moving quietly upstairs was a stark reminder of the chasm that had opened between us. Today marked the beginning of her unraveling, a meticulously orchestrated downfall that she had brought upon herself. I started with the phone, my fingers steady as I dialed the number of Mark's workplace, a prominent financial firm known for its strict code of conduct and discretion. The receptionist answered with a chirpy, "Good morning, how may I assist you?" "I need to speak with your HR department." "It's urgent," I said, my voice cloaked with feigned concern. One transfer later, a wary HR representative was on the line. "This is Michael. How can I help you?" "Hello, Michael. I'm calling to discuss a matter involving one of your employees, Mark Thompson. It's a sensitive issue concerning inappropriate behavior outside of work that's reflecting badly on your company," I explained, laying the foundation of the lie that would taint Mark's reputation. There was a pause, then a cautious, "Can you please specify the nature of this behavior?" "Mark has been engaged in an affair with a married woman. It's causing quite a stir in our community and, given your company's reputation, I thought it best you hear it from someone who wishes to remain anonymous," I continued, feeling the first taste of victory as my plan took root. "We take these allegations very seriously. We will start an investigation immediately." "Thank you for bringing this to our attention," Michael assured me, his tone now laced with tension. After hanging up, I felt a surge of adrenaline. The first move had been made, but there was more to be done. Grace's social circle was tight-knit, her friends loyal and gossipy, perfect for the seeds of doubt I planned to sow. I crafted a series of anonymous messages, each designed to stir up suspicion and intrigue. Did you see who Grace was with last night? Shocking to think what's going on right under our noses, read one. Is it true about Grace? I heard from John that she's been seeing someone else, said another. I sent them out from a burner phone, directing them to a select few who were known for spreading news like wildfire. Meanwhile, Grace was downstairs, her face pale, her eyes wary as she approached me. David, are we going to talk about last night? She asked, her voice tremulous. There's nothing more to discuss, I said coldly, not looking up from my phone. Actions have consequences, Grace. You'll see that soon enough. She flinched as if struck, the realization of my unforgiving stance clear. What are you planning, David? What are you doing on your phone? Her questions flew fast, tinged with panic. Just making sure the truth comes out. You wanted to live a life of lies, now let's see how you handle the truth being public, I retorted, my tone icy. Grace's eyes filled with tears, her composure breaking. Please, David, let's fix this. We can start over. It's too late for that, I interrupted, standing up to face her, the room thick with the tension of impending storms. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. You won't find peace until you've felt the full weight of your betrayal. As she sobbed, I turned away, the pieces of my revenge falling into place around her crumbling facade. This was just the beginning, and I was nowhere near done. The day ahead would bring more revelations, more consequences. Grace would learn the hard way that betrayal came with a price, one that I was determined to exact in full. The week had been a crescendo of whispers and rumors swirling through our once peaceful community, each day weighing heavier on Grace as her world slowly unraveled. My revenge had seeped into every facet of her life, leaving her isolated and fragile. But today, I had planned the final blow, the one that would seal our fates and part us forever in a shroud of betrayal and remorse. As I watched from across the street, Grace walked into the cafe where we had first met, a location chosen for its significance, the cruel irony not lost on me. She was meeting Mark, likely seeking comfort in her dwindling circle of trust. But what she didn't know was that I had orchestrated this meeting, each move calculated with precision. I had sent Mark a message from Grace's phone earlier, which I had secretly cloned. Meet me. I need to explain everything. It's urgent, it read. And like a puppet on strings, he had agreed, unaware of the audience he would have. The cafe was bustling, the murmur of conversations a perfect cover for the drama about to unfold. I entered quietly, taking a seat with a clear view of them, my presence yet unnoticed. Grace looked up as Mark approached, her expression a mix of relief and despair. Mark, thank you for coming, she began, her voice shaky. Before Mark could reply, I stood and walked towards them, my steps deliberate. No need for thanks, Mark. After all, you've come at my invitation. They both turned, startled. Grace's face paled, her eyes widening in shock. David? What, how did you? Sit down, Mark, I commanded, ignoring her. He hesitated, then complied, his confusion evident. I know everything, I stated, my voice cold, my eyes locked on Mark's. The affair, the lies, the betrayal. And you, Mark, you're going to pay for it. Grace's hands trembled. David, please, don't do this. We can still fix this. I laughed, a sound devoid of any humor. There's nothing left to fix. You broke everything, Grace. And now, you'll watch as I break what's left. Turning to the other diners, who had begun to notice the scene, I raised my voice. This man, I pointed at Mark, is a home reaver. And my wife, the perfect liar. Murmurs filled the room, phones raised to capture the spectacle. Grace sobbed, her body shaking. Please, stop this. You're ruining everything. That's the point, I said flatly. Looking back at Mark, I continued, and for you, the consequences will be severe. I pulled out a folder, dropping it on the table. Inside were printed emails, texts, photos, all fabricated to show illicit dealings and corruption. I've sent these to your boss, the police, the local news. Your career, your reputation, I've destroyed it all. Mark's face drained of color, his eyes darting from the papers to me. You can't, this isn't true. But who will believe you? Just like no one believes her, I gestured to Grace, who was now crying uncontrollably. Standing up, I looked at Grace one last time. This is the end for us. I hope the betrayal was worth it. With that, I left the cafe, the echo of my footsteps a stark goodbye. The tragedy wasn't just in the lies or the deception, it was in the realization that my heart had once beat for her, that woman who was now a stranger drowning in her deceit. As I walked away, the sounds of the cafe behind me, I felt a hollow victory. I had taken my revenge, but at the cost of everything we had once cherished. Our love, now just ashes in the wind of our bitter parting, would haunt me forever, a tragic reminder of the price of betrayal.